Today we're going to learn how to create a Prezi. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to open up the internet window. Then you're going to go to www.prezi.com and the Prezi website will open up. I'm going to click login and you are going to log in. Your login will include your email address and whatever your login is that you created. After you log in, then it will come up and show you the Prezis that you've already created. We're going to act like we have not created a Prezi yet, and we are going to click on New Prezi. After I click on New Prezi, it will load. And it's going to ask us to choose a template. For today's purposes, we are not going to use a template. We are going to start with a blank Prezi. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the screen and click Start with a blank Prezi. And my Prezi screen comes up and it starts out with a circle and it asks you to click to add a title. So since we're doing state reports, I am going to just type in Indiana. If I want to change the color of the font, I highlight it and then I put the color in that I want. If I also want to change the body part of it, it doesn't let you change the different types of font, but it will let you change the size if you click and drag. So I can make it smaller, I can make it larger, I can move it anywhere in the window that I want. Now if I want to start typing in, I just double click in the box and it'll put the cursor at the end. If I want to get out of that box, just click outside and it'll bring it back up and then I can drag it anywhere I want. So I'm going to move it up here because I want to put Indiana up here at the top. Now let's say I want to add a picture. I go to Insert, Images. Now you can select images from a file, you can do them off of a jump drive or anything that's saved to the desktop, but for our intents and purposes today we're just going to search files and I'm going to type in Indiana. We're going to do a Google search, so I type it in, I press the search bar and it comes up with Indiana. Let's say I'm going to use the map of Indiana. So I click on it and I drag it over here and it says processing and it will stick the picture into there. Now I can size it to whatever size I want right here. I can go plus, make it bigger, minus, make it smaller. I can also make it wider. So I can adjust it to the size that I want. And then if I click off outside of the space, that information will go away. If I click back on the picture, that information will come back up. Now if I don't want this image, just click delete and it'll go away. So once I'm done inserting my image, I'm going to press the X and it'll close it out. And there I have my first slide of my Prezi. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to press pause and I want you to go through and I want you to create a title. And then I also want you to change the color of the title and then I want you to add a picture. And then once you've done that, then come back to the YouTube video and I want you to press play and we'll go on to step 2. Now you're ready for step 2. Now that we've gotten the first slide done, we're going to take and we're going to kind of move our circle over. And the way I'm doing that is using the left mouse button and I'm clicking on the screen and I'm dragging it towards the right so that way I have room to put a new circle up on the screen. I go up to the top, the frames and arrows, and it lets me draw a bracket frame, a circle frame, or rectangle frame. And then it has draw invisible frame. For now, we're not going to do draw an invisible frame because that's kind of hard to do when you're doing draw an invisible frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to use draw a circle frame. So I click draw a circle frame, and if you notice my tool is now gone to a crosshairs and a circle. Wherever I right click on the screen, it's going to start to draw the circle and it's going to make it as big as I tell it to make it. So the circle is going to be as big as I tell it and it's going to put it wherever I put it. So this is where I'm going to make my circle. Now if I don't want it right there, I can move it by clicking this dot that's up at the top. If I click on it, I can move it wherever I want it. Now, this one works the same way as the other one did. I click anywhere in the box, it'll let me add my subtitles or my title. So let's say I'm going to make this one the state flag. So I type state flag, and I'm going to put it right at the top. Now, once again, I want to insert a picture, so I go insert image. I'm going to go over here to image, and I've got Indiana, and here's my state flag. So I'm going to click it, I'm going to drag it over. It says processing, and it sticks in there. Now, if you notice, my state flag is way too big to fit into the square. So I'm going to size it down by pressing this minus arrow key. And now I have a state flag inside of my square. Now I have two slides here, but they're not connected. If you notice the two flags, but I only have my first slide and not the second slide up there. So I'm going to go over here to Insert Images. I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to scroll back over by clicking on the left mouse button. And I'm going to find the number 1 for my first slide. And notice when I hover on it, it says double click to edit path. So I'm going to double click, and then I'm going to move it over here to my second slide. And when I do, you're going to notice there's a blue line that appears. See, when I take it off that slide, the blue line goes away. When I put it on the slide, the blue line appears. So I'm going to click that slide. And as after I clicked it, if you notice over on the left-hand side, it has appeared now inside of my Prezi. Now I go up to the top and it says click on any image to add it to the path. I'm going to click done because I'm finished. I want to show you what this Prezi is going to look like now when I go through it. I'm going to go up to present. And this is what it looks like. I start off with my first one with Indiana, and just like with the PowerPoint, if I click down here at the bottom, it'll go to the next slide. If I want to zoom in on that picture, I click on it and it zooms in on the picture. If I click off of it, it zooms back out. Then I go to my next slide and watch, it zooms over to the second slide. If I want to zoom in on the state flag, I click the state flag and it zooms out, or it zooms in. I click off of it and it zooms away from it. Now I don't have another slide obviously to go to, so it would actually stop after the second slide. Now when I'm done with my presentation, I click the X in the upper right hand corner and I'm back to where I was before. Now what I want you to do is I want you to add a second slide to your presentation. And I want you to title it State Flag, put a state flag in for yours, and I also want you to link it. So I want you to press pause on the video right now, and I want you to link those together. When we come back, I'm going to show you how to add more text to this. All right, now we're going to add more text. So I have my state flag, but I also want to add more information. So if I want to add more text down here at the bottom, anywhere I double click, it's going to add a text box. So let's say I wanted to type Indiana in here. I can type that there, and I can shrink it to fit. And so if I want to add more text at the bottom, I can do that so that I can make it fit there. Now let's go through and let's add a third box. So let's kind of review. We're a third circle. So I right or left mouse click and I drag until I find some white space. I can go up, down, left, or right. This time I'm going to go up a little bit. I'm going to go up to frames and arrows, and this time I'm going to draw a rectangular frame. If you notice, my crosshairs this time makes a rectangle. I'm going to draw my rectangular frame, draw it as big as I want, and let go of it. There it is, and this is also a shaded rectangle. Now the same thing works this time like it did before. Now if you notice this time when I click inside of the box, it comes up down at the bottom, says text only, image only, or text and image, or blank. If you select text only, it'll only let you type words in there. If you do text and image, it'll put an image in there. Now let's say I made a mistake and I didn't want to have text only. There's an undo button up here at the top. If I click undo, it undoes my last step. If I click it again, it gets rid of my box. So let's go ahead and put the rectangle back in there again. I'm going to draw the rectangle again. And I'm going to put it in there. And I'm going to click off of it here. Now, I'm going to click inside because I want to put a text in there. And let's say this time this is going to be the state bird. And now I want to insert an image, so I'm going to go over here to Indiana, and I'm going to type in state bird, and let's do a search and see what comes up. There's a picture of a cardinal. I'm going to drag it over here onto the screen. It says processing. I'm going to shrink that down to fit. And then over here where it says add text, I'm going to put cardinal. And so there I have Indiana State Bird Cardinal, and I'm also going to probably make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to drag that and make it bigger. Now I'm going to get rid of this insert image. I'm going to go down here to box number 2. So if I click on number 2, it'll take me right over to number 2. If I click number 1, it'll take me right over to number 1. And I want to link number 2 to number 3. So remember how to link. I go to the number 2 and I double click on it, and it says link. So I'm going to go up to box number 3 and find it right here, and I'm going to point to it and press my right button, and as you see, the slide appears in the slideshow now. And then once I'm done linking, I'm going to say done. Now if I want to watch what my presentation looks like now, so we go to the first one. And there's my third one. But I actually want it to start over from the very beginning, so I'm going to highlight number 1, and I'm going to go present. It's going to start over at the very beginning. It'll go to the second one. If I want to zoom in on the flag, it'll zoom in on the flag. Press off the screen to zoom out. Press the arrow button. Now it goes to number 3 if I want to zoom in on the cardinal bird. And zoom out. Now the last thing I want to show you is themes up at the top of the page. There are many different themes. So if I wanted to change the theme to look like something different, for example, if I wanted to make it look like midnight, if I click the midnight theme, it'll adjust the whole screen to look like midnight. So if I zoom out, this is what it looks like. If I don't like that theme, I can change it. Let's say I want to do athlete. So this is the athlete theme. So there's all different kinds of themes that you can use if you click the theme button. Let's try neon. So now I have a neon theme. Let's go back to square number 1 and let's look at present and look at what it looks like under the neon theme. So that's what your presentation would look like if you were using the neon theme. So what I want you to do right now, since you've watched the video on how to add things, is I want you to go through now, and I just want you to add squares for what you need for your project. There are a couple more things that you can do with your Prezi, but I'll show you how to do those after. I'll show you how to do those after you create some squares. Now, when you automatically press exit, it will automatically save your Prezi. So when I'm pressing exit, it'll save it. And then you'll go back to a menu that'll show you what your Prezi will look like if you were doing it in presentation. If you want to return to the main menu where all your Prezis are, just press your Prezis, and it takes you back to your main menu screen. So that's it for today's tutorial.